Hi, I'm Chef AJ, and I'm going to show you how to make what I call the ultimate green juice. People love this juice. Even people that don't eat vegetables or eat healthy will drink this juice. It's so delicious that I have it every morning. It'll give you your morning glow, revitalize every cell in your body. It's so much less expensive than going to juice places. And the best part is when you make it in the Nama J2 cold pressed juicer, it's pretty much hands-free. It's whisper quiet. And it's fast. And this is the best juicer I've ever used. This is the third juicer I've owned, and I've never had one that worked this quickly and easily. So much so that I was actually able to put it together simply by watching a video. I'm going to show you all the pieces that come with the assembly and show you how easy it is to put together and to make the juice. You'll get all these pieces, and then they give you 3 books. This is a quick start guide. You get the book, the instruction booklet in many different languages. And you get a beautiful recipe book with colored pictures in it as well. But I didn't even need to use any of those because just watching the simple video was all I needed to put it together. So you're going to have your base here. Mine is gray. I believe it comes in white and black also. I love that it's small, it's lightweight, and it fits under my counter. And so then we'll put the other pieces together. So this is called the strainer, and you get 2 of these with different size holes. And actually there's an attachment where you can use it to make sorbet like banana and ice cream with your Nama J2 cold press juicer. And then you're going to just be putting it in the spinning basket like here. And it's not hard to do. There's only one way to do it. Once it clicks, it's in. And then you're going to place it in the chamber. So in the chamber, you have these 2 spouts. This is where the juice comes out, and you can close it. And this is where the pulp comes out, and you'll want to keep that closed. So there's only one way to do it correctly. There's like a bigger indentation here and a smaller one. And you just look at this and like, oh, this is the bigger indentation. So I'm just going to place it there. If it's incorrect, it won't go in. And this is the auger, and you'll place it in there. And you want to make sure there's only one way to do it right. And you can always check by making sure this is in. And then that'll drop down, and that is correct. And then you want to place this on top of the base. So the part where the juice comes out will go to your left. Usually this is facing me when I'm juicing. And the part where the pulp comes out will go to the right. But there's really only one way to do it correctly, because you'll know if you try to do it the other way, it won't fit. And then you have the hopper. What I love about the Nama J2 cold press juicer is this hopper is huge. If I wasn't making juice for 2 people, for myself and Charles, just to make my juice, I literally could just put everything in here, press the button, walk away if I wanted, and in a few minutes I'd have juice. Because I'm making a double batch, and because we drink so much, 3 cups each morning each, that's 6 cups, 24 ounces each, 48 ounces. I do have to feed it usually at least one more time during the process. And so to put it on, you just kind of have to do that. You kind of put it, guess you would call that 11 o'clock, and then you rotate. And now it's put together. And then here we're going to now take these 2 little things. This one is it's got a measuring cup. So this is where the juice will go to the left, and this is where the pulp will go to the right. And then the only other part, it comes with a brush to clean the strainer. And it comes with this little pusher thing if you want to get every last drop. So now that you know how to put it together, I'm going to go grab my ingredients, and I'm going to show you how to make the juice. So now that my juicer is assembled, I'm going to show you how to make my favorite ultimate green juice using the Nama J2 cold press juicer. So this is how I do it every day. The night before I go to bed, I put all the ingredients in a bowl, and whoever wakes up first, it's usually my husband, will make the juice. The truth is, except for the apples, which will oxidize when cut up, I could cut everything up in advance the night before just to make it go more quickly. But I want to show you that even in real time, it's not going to take that long. So I get all these ingredients at Costco. All of them are organic except for their limes, but I'm not going to use the skin anyway because it's slightly bitter. You could use the skin. Some people just throw, the whole lime or half a lime or lemon in. And then the only ingredient that doesn't come from Costco is the fresh mint. It is organic, and I just get that at my local Raley's, Safeways, or Whole Foods, or even Trader Joe's. So I will link to the recipe below, and I'll just show you that it's very easy to make this juice. So I have my celery. And, you know, celery is one thing you always want to get organic. Anything that's on the EWG.org, environmentalworkinggroup.org, Dirty Dozen, you want to make sure that you do get organic. Things that you're going to use the skin of. So the cucumber, I'm going to leave the skin on because it's organic. But things like a lemon or a lime where you probably don't use the peel, or a banana or watermelon, it's probably okay to get those conventional. I have a really hard time finding organic limes where I live. So I'm just going to give this a rough chop because the idea is you want to be able to have it fit through the hole of the hopper. But in reality, all you really have to do is put it in with your hand. But you don't want to put like entire large stalks of celery in. I mean, you could feed it like that, but what's the point of having a hands-free juicer if you're not going to cut anything up? So I have my celery in a rough chop, and I'm just going to place that in the bowl. And then I will cut my cucumbers. Now, these are regular cucumbers, and I'm using 2. When I get the English kind, those are really long, and I will use 3. The thing is you want to have something that has a lot of water content in it, like a cucumber. Otherwise, you're not going to get a lot of juice yielded. So, for example, I'm going to be using the organic power greens from Costco. They come in a 1.5 pound bag, 24 ounces, and I use about 1/3 of a bag for each juice. But greens give up very, very little juice. So you're going to need something else in it. So I'm just going to cut my cucumbers and place them in the bowl. We're going to put lots of everything all at once in it. And like I said, there's no reason you couldn't cut these items up the night before. But I just want to show you that even doing it this way, it doesn't really take all that long, at least not with these ingredients. I like the organic power greens from Costco, like everything at Costco, because the prices are incredible. But they always say to diversify your greens and don't just eat spinach or kale. And the organic power greens is organic baby chard, organic spinach, organic baby spinach, that is, and organic kale. And when you use the baby instead of the adult version of greens like chard and spinach and kale, it's much sweeter and milder. So for people that don't really like greens, I really recommend getting the baby. Same thing applies to arugula. And so we are using 4 limes because these limes are pretty small. Usually I use 2 because they're much bigger, especially if I get them at Sam's Club. These were already peeled because my husband likes to peel a bunch of them in advance to save time, but I will cut them into a little bit smaller pieces. You know, I don't know about you, I just like lime so much better than lemon. I feel bad because so many friends are always trying to give me lemons from their tree, but unless they're Meyer lemons, I'm just not that big of a fan of lemons when I can use limes. They're just much sweeter, and I feel have just a better and more unique flavor. And what they do for this juice is they kind of make it taste like limeade. When I used to eat sugar over 30 years ago, there was a place at the Sherman Oaks Galleria called Hot Dog on a Stick. And I used to love their limeade, not their lemonade, their limeade. So lime really just gives it that little extra something or other. So the way I cut the lime is anytime you have something round, you want to make what's called a stabilizing cut so that it doesn't roll. So I'm just cutting off both ends. You put that in your compost or scrap bin. And I learned this from Chef Bravo at True North. And this works on everything. This works for cantaloupe and watermelon. You make the stabilizing cut and then you go around and you just take as much of the peel as you can get. And it's okay if you get some of the pith, because the pith, which is the white part, tends to be bitter too. And you can get a citrus attachment for the Nama J2 cold press juicer. It's a fabulous one. And if I ever have a reason to make grapefruit juice or orange juice, or even if I have a bunch of lemons or limes to juice, I'll show you how that works as well. And I will show you the sorbet attachment because, as you probably know, Champion, where I was making my banana ice cream, went out of business after the pandemic. And so it's nice to have another machine that will do that. So there's my lime. And now the apples. I like to use this 16 slice apple cutter. I like to use this even when I eat an apple because it is so fun to eat it this way. You just want to make sure you push it on the bottom. Boom, and they should pop up. Put the core in the scrap bag. And then you have nice slices, especially if you're doing some kind of dip or something. They do make one with 8 slices, but I like this one. Either will work or just cutting it any way you want. You just don't want to include the core and the seeds. This is an envy apple, by the way. So if you want your juice sweet, you will want to use an apple like an envy apple, which I think it was named because it's the envy of all apples. It's that good, but any apple will work. This just happens to be my favorite. And if you don't want your juice sweet at all, and by the way, this is not like super sweet. It's not like sickly sweet, but my husband won't drink juice if it doesn't have some sweetness. And so I put the apple in, and then it makes it really palatable and easier to drink a lot. But I have drunk or drinking or whatever the past tense of drink is, drank juice with absolutely no sweetness whatsoever, just greens. And I'm okay with that, but this tastes a lot better. For me, I know there's very healthful things that a lot of people put in their juice, even garlic, ginger, turmeric. I just don't care for it in general or in juice. And you know, the healthiest juice is the one that you make yourself, that preferably is green, and the one that you'll actually drink. So now what I'm going to do is, you always want to start with the softer or lighter stuff first. And so I'm just going to put a lot of the power greens with the mint in on the bottom. Probably can get almost all of them to fit, but I'm going to just hold some back and put the other stuff on top. And remember, this is a double batch. If I was just making it for one person, everything I need for that one juice would fit in the hopper at the same time. Then you put the heavier stuff on top. And I'll tell you exactly how long this will take from the time I turn it on, and you will be surprised. You know, I do a YouTube show, and my husband can be making the juice. My office is right next door to the kitchen, and this is so whisper quiet, I don't even hear it. So I have it filled up to the top. I'm going to close the hopper. There's only one button, either on or reverse. I'm going to turn it on. You want to make sure that you open the spout for the juice to come out. And if you ever need to push it down, you can use the pusher. But it's not really necessary except when you get close to the bottom. If you don't want to turn it off to add more things to the hopper, you can just feed it like this. But I find it's easier to just at a certain point stop it and then reload it. When this fills up, I'm just going to pour it in a larger container because this will make about 2 of these. I don't want to take a chance of it running over. So what I do is I'll just turn it off for a minute and close the spout. And then I'll pour this into the larger container so all the flavors get mixed. And then I'll open the hopper and add all the remaining ingredients, the rest of the power greens, and whatever's left in the big bowl, the celery, lime, apple, and cucumber. And turn it on again. Kids love to watch the pulp come out. They say, oh, look, it's pooping. And you don't have to waste the pulp. There's so many things you can do. And I'll be showing you what I like to do with the pulp, which specifically is to make crackers. I make one that tastes like Mary's Gone crackers, but for pennies because the pulp is free. I use them in burgers, plant burgers, my smoky sweet potato burger to be exact. And you can even bake with them, make muffins, and lots of things you can do with the pulp. And you can just keep it running till you really don't see anything left in the hopper. Well, then you know, and when no more juice or pulp comes out, you know you're done. Some people like to put the pulp in for a second time. I found that this juicer is so good at extracting pretty much all the liquid that it doesn't seem to make much difference if I do that. I get just a teensy tiny bit of juice out when I do that. When I go to Stanford for my cancer treatments, I don't want to travel with my juicer. I probably could because it's small enough, but I don't want anything to happen to it. And I'm staying at a hotel that I just make enough for 2 or 3 days in advance, and it seems fine. I had a juicer similar to this, which worked great, but the hopper was so small, it was taking us 45 minutes just for it to run. And now when I look at the clock in real time, this has been going for 5 minutes, and we are almost done. The amount varies depending on how big your cucumbers are and how much liquid, but we're going to get 2 nice servings for my husband and myself. And I like to serve these chilled with a little bit of ice in it. Because there's so few parts, cleanup is very easy. I really haven't even had to use the brush. So I'll just give it a little more time for every last bit to come out. Yeah, we're at 6 minutes now, and you can see no more pulp is coming out. So I don't see anything left in the hopper, so I'm going to just turn it off. I'll just close this in case anything else wants to come out. And I'll mix the two batches together. And then I'll just pour it evenly into these two containers. And if one gets more, whoa, see, you got to go slow. Don't want to waste this precious juice. If one is more than the other, well, that'll be mine. I love these little jars for drinking. It's just so pretty. And then you can see it. And again, if you don't like some of the ingredients or want to use more of one or less of the other, please do. The reason you'll see it's not going to go all the way up is these are 32-ounce jars, because I like to have room for ice. And this makes about 24 ounces each day for each of us, at a fraction of what it was costing at the juice place, which was, after tip, close to $40. I figured out that we're spending about $5 or $6 a day for both of us to make this, and saving a lot of time because the juice store is 25 minutes away. So just put a little top up so we have our reusable straw. And there you have it. Very simple. In elapsed time, I looked, it was 6 minutes for the whole process once it went in the hopper. And you have, in my opinion, the most delicious juice I've ever tasted. I call it the ultimate green juice. I hope you'll try it. If you try it, I hope you'll let me know if you like it. And even if you have other flavor combinations in mind, consider getting the gold standard of all juicers, the Nama J2. And I'll link below to a discount code so that you can get it even cheaper. There you go. I'm Chef AJ. I make healthy, taste delicious, and to your health.